Hi everyone, X here, and today I just want to very quickly talk about the new controversial changes to Blue Archive's gacha system. There are currently plenty of videos out there right now talking about it, but I just wanted to weigh in my thoughts as well, despite no one asking for it and my mentioning that I wasn't going to get involved. As after a bit of contemplation, I decided, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna voice my personal opinions on it with this video, seeing as I am pretty unhappy. Though just a disclaimer that most of my thoughts will admittedly be emotionally based and less on all the maths that have been done. I'll explain why later. So if you don't like that and you prefer a more numbers approach, well, I suggest you tune out now. Anyways, for those of you who don't know what's going on, Blue Archive announced a huge overhaul to the gacha system the other day during the 5.5 anniversary livestream. Our usual spark system has been abolished and been replaced by essentially a pity mechanic. Now, whenever you hit 100 pity on a banner, you're guaranteed to get a 3-star, though it's a 50-50 chance of being the on-banner student. And at 200, you're guaranteed to get the rate up student. But whenever you get the pick up 3-star character, the pity resets back to 0. However, the pity does not reset if you get a 3-star that isn't the rate up, including if it's a student whose banner is running at the same time. So like if I get Dress Haruka and Dress Mutsuki's banner, the pity is still retained. This pity is also shared among banners of the same type, so like regular banners such as let's say the current Konoka Reina banners share the same pity, limited banners have their own pity. Though I'm actually unsure if pity carries over to the next upcoming banners of the same type, I didn't see any explanation about it, so if anyone can confirm this, that would be great. Not to mention, the standard banner, aka the permanent one, is also apparently being abolished. Oh, one more small update on the system. As of Tuesday, apparently they explained that there is a sort of a rebate/cashback feature in this new system. When you reach a set number of pulls, you get some rewards like Aligmas, gift boxes, skill level up materials, and a 10 pull ticket. So as you can see, if you do 70 pulls, you get back a 10 pull, and if you do 200 pulls, you get back around 40 pulls, cause they give you about 4 limited 10 pull tickets. Meaning worst case scenario, it's technically 160 pity for one student. If you perform 400 pulls, you get back 80 pulls, so 320 pity for 2 students, but after 400 pulls onwards, you don't get back any tickets. This rebate also does not carry over to the next banner and will reset every new banner. Now with that brief explanation out of the way, I like to give my quick thoughts on this new system. Again, keep in mind that I'm just giving my own personal thoughts on the matter from an emotional standpoint. Please do not take my statements in this section as facts. Simply put, I do not like it. In fact, I despise it. Before I continue, there's a number of senseis who have done the math for the system, with graphs, numbers, analysis, etc. However, I don't really know the exact details and math that they put out because I'm too stupid to understand any of it. So if you like looking at all those numbers and whatnot, or if you're simply interested in it, I'll leave a few links in the description to those posts of a number of senseis calculations. Me, I'm not a maths guy. In fact, I'm terrible at it, so I'm not qualified to talk from that perspective. However, even though I acknowledge the few benefits of the new system that the calculations all point to, like it's easier to pull for one banner character or the slightly better rates apparently, plus the fact that we need less pulls to hit spark with the cashback feature. And I can agree that it is important to look at the math too, because it gives us another perspective. I personally still don't like this new system, and I feel that I cannot simply accept it just cause the numbers say so. We can't just use logic and be like the old Rio, because it's not just about the percentages and probability. We also need to consider other factors such as player psychology. For example, the numbers won't change the terrible feeling of getting absolutely rinsed, like when you lose the 50-50 multiple times in a row. You will, trust me. And that this system, in my opinion at least, brings more bad than good when you also view it from outside the numbers. Now look, I could go into detail about everything in this new system itself that I dislike. For instance, the 50-50, the pity resets. Plus, in my opinion, this system doesn't work well in a game like Blue Archive, which has a large pool of students, and where people pull for dupes a lot of the time. Or the fact that the game usually has 2, sometimes even more concurrent banners, which only last for 2 weeks. As for the rebate feature, well, I still dislike it as a whole because it basically pressures players to keep pulling until they hit the milestones, spending more paroxenes. So far, it seems like a somewhat small, decent band-aid, so I'll withhold my tongue on it for now. However, I feel these have all been discussed so much by many senseis online that in a way, I feel like me repeating these points feels a bit weird and tiring, I suppose, despite my agreement with a lot of them. So instead, I like to share my thoughts regarding outside the system itself, i.e. how those greedy bastards at Nexon have handled this whole situation. It is actually the thing that pisses me off the most, despite my obvious dislike for this new system. For one, we can argue all we want on the maths, flaws, benefits of this system, etc. But the main thing is the fact that this system shouldn't even exist in the first place. Like, I feel our old Spark system was fine. We had a good thing going, but no, Nexon just had to ruin it by introducing a new system which barely anybody asked for, by the way. Were there people who complain about the old one like the rates and stuff? Sure, especially in the Google Play comment sections and some idiots on Twitter/YouTube. Did I sometimes get super mad at the game because of my bad pulls? Yeah, of course, we all have that. But this didn't mean we were desperate for some other system, especially for one that copies the Hoyo model, because the old one was fine as it is. It worked pretty well overall for the past 5 years. We're used to it and we planned around it for so long. Why the fuck would you change it now? If anything, maybe buff it a little, like increase the rate up to 4% or something. Simple. All for money. Nexon are greedy bastards, especially with the ex-EA guy taking over. So in some ways, I ain't surprised. I don't know. I personally feel replacing something that's been working for years with something that a lot of us didn't want/ask for feels like an absolute betrayal. Oh, let's not forget the ad that now pops up after you pull the rate up character. Brother, not even Hoyo, Kuro Games, etc. do that. Like, this is literally the epitome of greed. Another thing that genuinely frustrates me about the situation is the way Nexon and Yosta have communicated this news. Like, they dropped this announcement in the middle of the 5.5 anniversary stream, which is supposed to be a celebration, a joyous day, and you get the host to talk about something so important for a little bit, giving barely any information and instead just focus on the merch instead. By the way, I'm not blaming the host or the VAs that were present whatsoever. They were likely just doing their job reading out the scripts, and we shouldn't be shooting them. Rather, the devs or the higher-ups themselves should have come out and explained this change, what it fully entails, why it's happening, etc., especially for something this huge. Plus, they announced this only 3 days before it's being implemented. Like, that's such a short amount of time. We barely have any time to prepare. Anyways, because of their dumb decision to reveal this new system, it has mostly overshadowed all the other good announcements like the long-awaited Gehenna main volume, and especially the Swimsuit Pandemonium Girls, which I'm especially pissed about, because more Gehenna Fest was something that I was personally super excited for, as I am a Gehenna fan, and it's been a hot minute since we got a Gehenna-related anniversary. What's more, I really like Pandemonium Society, especially Chiaki, Iroha, and Ibuki, who have amazing swimsuits. The animations are so good as well, but it's such a shame that we, the entire BA community, can't be distracted and can't properly enjoy it because of this new gacha system. I'm absolutely not blaming the community, by the way. We have bigger fish to fry, more elephants to address. I just feel frustrated that the high-ups decision to implement this new system has eclipsed the news of our lovely Pandemonium girls in their sexy swimsuits. Lastly, Kim Yong-ha's statement addressing the situation low-key made me really angry the first time I read it, because it felt like it was him basically saying, we're making this new system for your own good, shut the f up and accept it, we're going through with it anyways. Oh, but sorry for the terrible miscommunication. Tehe! But after calming down a bit, I personally don't think that the blame lies solely on him and the dev team, because at least we got something from him after all our complaints. And I personally feel the changes might not come from MX Studio themselves, but the corporate side of Nexon, though I could obviously be wrong. So while I still absolutely do not accept/want this new system, at least we received a statement, at least he acknowledged the poor way they handled the communication of this system, so for that, congrats on the 5.5 years, I suppose. But anyways, those are my unorganized thoughts on the new gacha system. Look, if it turns out to somehow be better than the old system, the update goes live on the day of recording, I'll put my hands up and apologize. And I understand some people's arguments that I should at least experience it first before making up my mind. Not just that, while I ain't letting it ruin my excitement/hype for the Swimsuit Pandemonium girls, they are too damn hot, I will still be thirsting over Swimsuit Chiaki's delicious tummy, and I'll be jorking it to Swimsuit Iroha's cake. I've decided to not spend any money on this game until they address this situation. I said in a tweet the other day I might buy the Kaiko earbuds, but you know what? fuck that. No money for these bastards, though I'll still be playing. I am admittedly a bit too attached to the game after 5 years. I also realized that I'm giving my thoughts purely from a psychological/emotional standpoint, and I didn't really cover the maths. Again, I'm not an analytical kind of guy. I don't really read all those numbers and graphs, ironic cause I'm Asian, I know, but I acknowledge the importance of viewing this situation from a mathematical perspective. In fact, it's good to look at it from both an emotional and analytical standpoint, though I'm bad at the latter, which is why I didn't talk about it, as I fear I might accidentally give misinformation. So again, I've left a bunch of links to some Senseis calculations on the new system. Read them if you want to. The most important thing, however, is if you aren't happy with this system like I am, remember to send your feedback and complaints about the gacha system to them directly through Blue Archive JP's customer support. I'll leave the link to it in the description, as well as a tweet explaining how to navigate it. The kinda listening, as some people including myself have gotten the same reply. Anyways, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.